had one pant at a time before I sewed the spring coils into a noodle shape, and at first I couldn't get it to wrap around my butt. But when I started packing in salt and siltworms, we had some flatbread and we fed a grind wheel to it, and before we had too much military-grade baking dust, we had a lot of civilian-level chicken meridian ergonomic retraction biscuits. I know it might be very difficult to believe, but I am a tunnel-fueled banquet of invisible threats threaded together with untimely watch settings that beep 5 minutes into the meeting and upset your relatives who are also the board. And they are bored to tears with your PowerPoint. It lacks pizzazz and has no point, so they feel that the medium is not really meeting the message or vice versa. I met the medium message the other day and I was medium impressed until they gave me a massage, and then I felt like, now I'm glad I bought the fancy corsage for them because they knew how to hold one's attention. And then when I took the outside of the flashlight covering off, I saw that they had actually stolen both of my kidneys. So now I'm just sort of a robotic cyborg killer that they reprogrammed to be in charge of the Miami Beach Tunnel Wave Expedition of 1973. And this is, these are incredible farm-raised free-range submarine adventures that you buy in funnel cake format in the following equity investment properties: stencil boat quail, dolphin, frog rug bag log. There was a big to-do about grafting a log onto your raft. But after much discussion, we figured we were better off with a raft made of purely rope, and now we are all and ever shall be decayed. Our ability to proceed with the rope plan led to our most fatal mistake, yet accidentally dying. There's funnel bundle in my heart right now, and I want that for you. There is a skirt stuck in an ironing board because it has been melted to the fabric, and that's what I want us to be. So please stop screaming when I take the tape off. It's really frustrating. No, you know, it's more frustrating when I put the tape on and it needs to be rewound because you were listening to it last and you didn't bother to rewind it, and you're like, just flip it over and it'll be at the beginning of the other side. And I was like, just flip you off. And you're gonna be siding off the beginning because I'm mad about these recent flips. And then the hedging started and we protracted like a compass. And then you thought you were the ruler. So I took my little doohickey thing and I was like, I'm not doing this, and I didn't do it, and then when the teacher was like, why is this project incomplete? I was like, I don't know, I just don't know. I was screaming top of my lungs. Everybody pointed, they covered their fingers and laughed openly. I'm like, what are they doing? And then they were all like, oh, we're doing this right. Then they covered their mouths and pointed while they left. I was like, this is awful. My worst day by far that week. And then 2 days later, I'm hauled up in front of Justice Brewer, who is also the principal there. And he was every teacher I had. I don't know if other kids got different teachers. And he was like, you're gonna get a whooping. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? And he's like, you got a whooping and you're gonna have to get a whooping. And I'm like, that's a lot of whoopings. And he's like, now you're starting to get it. And I was like, oh no, office supply, cinnamon, sales, silvering, agent. that I don't want to say wasn't qualified for his job, but you know what I mean? Like, nice guy, and he came in, and he's like, wait, Article Section 4553 states of what next? And at this principal guy just fenestrated, Justice Brewer yielded his time to the magnanimous office supply. Cinnamon Sales Silvering Agent walked in, and he says, what you need here is a proper burial at sea. And that makes this whole thing legal, and not the help I thought he was going to be giving me. He was escalating the situation from me getting beaten up to being killed in my body, being hidden by my own school administration. I was like, this is pretty tough. Where do you think you can hide a rotting dude in there, like inside your body? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, we're gonna try to destroy your soul. And their eyes turned into those spinny, weird, black and white, swirly things they do. And it's like mind control and an old TV show or a new TV show, because everyone making the new TV shows idolize the people make the old TV shows so much. So TV shows stay more the same than they would if the people making them weren't such big fans of the TV that made them want to become such big TV fans that they made TV episodes. And it's a real problem for America's cliche basket. But yeah, they were all spinning around, and I felt myself succumbing to his icy psychic grip. So I was like, oh crap, and I flipped over, and I succumbed to his icy psychic Gifford. And these are, I'm told, gaffer, and these are untold jokes about the film industry. Six floss dentist doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're servicing less than half a person, and it's the foot half six floss dentist, can start to seem like an overabundance of roles filled for that particular task. That's where celery stalks came in. We would use celery stalk all of our floss dentists. And then when they were trapped in the ravine, where we'd always send them saying, help, there's a big, only a dentist, an expert in the art of floss can save me. I'm trapped near a cactus on the edge of this canyon, and I'm like, I'll be right there, because they did canyon calls. That's about the only good thing. They were good for that if they were really good at flossing teeth. But then, they'd show up and the cactus was really me and a potato suit, and they're like, this looks more like a giant potato, and then I shove them over the edge, and then I throw the suit down on them. And then I get a chainsaw and cut down the cactus. It really was there. It really was there under a second potato suit. And take that suit off so the cactus is all spiky, chainsaw down. Throw it over the edge, and I swear to you, 2 out of every 5 times I do this, it does hit the now down floss dentist in the back of the head or Argie's back, and it's like I'm trying to do it every single time, but I still get this raw, rush, hitting your first free throw scrimmage at the big baseball game. When you were a kid, it's like you feel like you really did it up, and that's the way I like to did whenever I don't do. I had a Paddock reminder recently, and it's sort of shank grinding easel. That said, if you don't study over 400 paintings an hour, your brain turns into solid milk. And at first I was like, this sounds kind of like an unusual claim, but the science supporting it is airtight, and that's why we need to get one of those submarines like all those billionaires exploded on, because it's an airtight seal and a shipwreck at the bottom of the sub-Atlantic Ocean. I know you're like, I've only heard it called the Atlantic Ocean. It's like, well, that's different. Oh, that's the ocean above the one I'm talking about. Okay, these are different seas, and the object of our desire is deep down, because that's where we're going to get the science that supports this, and once we can get it from the airtight bunker, bring it to the surface, decompress it, and then lovingly restore it on 70mm film, as I don't think we'll really be able to justify such crazy behavior, but that science will support it. I have no doubt it was foretold, along with, the whole existence of the subatlantic ocean beneath the Atlantic Ocean. To me, in a dream I had, when a tree branch had fallen off the back of a truck and it knocked the metal arm of one of those cherry picker trucks, and that hit the basket into the back of my head, and the tree limb actually bounced off of all that and impaled me through the left and right of the head, and also through the top and the bottom because of its unusual branching patterns. So I was deeply traumatized at that time by the murder that occurred all around me. Like, I felt like there is some murder coming in from this stick, but in the end the fears were overblown because the DA accepted a manslaughter plea deal from the tree that did it, and now I just sort of root around in the trash with giant palm fronds for hands squeezing out all the most liquidy butter I can find, still in its wrapper between my fingers, and just knowing that, this is all possible because of a generalist donation from the Mormon Church. I know that compared to the size of their private hatch fund, it's not as generous as it probably should be, but I still accepted it greedily, stuffed it down into the warm bowl of breakfast, have champs, and I chomped and chomped, and then chanted at the bit to go stamp at that soga, because it was crazy legit. I had a vulcanized rubber parquet stricture doorbell, velocity measurement caliper set when I was in 6th grade, and it was made of about 4,500,000 dead people stacked in weird shapes and then brought back to life at the flick of a switch. It all worked with magnets and radon. You know nothing. We would let our kids snort today, but back then it was considered calm and law marriage if you had stayed indoors for over 10 years. And that happened to me a lot when I was 5 because of the struggles with frog abandonment. And the struggles would suddenly, there's a frog you don't know latching on to you. It's such high peaks and such low valleys that it makes your soul kind of weep sugar cubes filled with earwax. And there's no way that stuff's good for your soul, clogging it up. So I used to have to let the fire demon purge me of my unclean emotions, and a lot of that comes down to how willing to get burnt to death for your spiritual beliefs. Are you feeling in this exact moment? Because it doesn't matter if you think it's completely crazy all the time. You just have to have a moment of weakness. And so I can feel this sort of revelation prowling around in my, I don't want to call it heart, because it's already been filled up with this creamy soup butter. I keep finding in the dumpsters, but wherever there should be a heart. There's this plastic elbow case filled with clarinets and raisin bran, and I need to hack it open quick so I can somehow stuff non-collapsible English horn into it, and it's like, this isn't gonna happen for me. Okay, I grabbed a French horn and started beating the English horn into shape. And then pretty soon, I just had a big old set of tubes fed ES, and I was a god in one and plopped into the lazy river and floated 16 stone away from where I'd begun at the beginning of the trip. And I was like, it's a trickle-down theory of basement sedimentary. Val released glands, and they're like, absolutely. And that's when I began to understand I'm not working with coworkers here, right? I'm working with fish people that have secret patches from old coats sewn on the inside of their clothes that give them superpowers. And that's why one fish, two fish, radio fish, stable thermometer, Satina dancing dwelling partake, castle, fortress that dumpling. And it's like one of these things is gonna have to give. You have to choose either me, right uck, stable thermometer, or the Carl Fortress flat line diameter castle annulment thrasher of 166 culls the skulls, combs out his own.